everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of the Daddy Brigade podcast. I'm Keith the Bearded Tank.
I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
And we got another guest.
Yes,
we guest. Who is it?
This is Sgt at Arms.
Of Arms, isn't it?
Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms. Sorry. I used to be in a car club, and I actually was a Sergeant at Arms. So basically, if you don't know who this is, I just recently found out about him beginning of this month, really, after seeing a lot of talk about him and their guns and a lot of stuff about you guys in general after the quantified performance match that they had in February. So basically we're going to have him explain everything and get some background and ask a few other questions that we have. So after you, sir.
Yeah. Who are you? Where are you from? What's going on?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. So my name is Eric Lee. I'm originally from Kentucky. Back in 2003, joined the Marine Corps, traveled, did a couple deployments overseas, and then took orders to Fort Worth, Texas. Got out in 2012 and stayed here. I got out. I've always had a love for precision guns. Anything that's accurate gun-wise, I've always loved. An inaccurate gun I didn't care for. I've sold a lot of those off and just never kept those around. Well, getting out of the Marine Corps, I didn't really care for the AR platform, which I know sounds really, really weird right now, but I was used to the M16. Didn't care for it. I thought it wasn't very accurate. And buddy of mine that I was in the Marine Corps with, he'd started doing custom builds and stuff like that. He's like, man, let's do you a custom build. You'll actually like this. So he did one. He convinced me to, let him build me a gun. Built it. I was like, hey, this isn't half bad. Now let's see if I can get some accuracy out of this thing. And started playing around with that. Started kind of helping some other buddies out. Next thing you know, it's turning into a business. 2016 is when the business started. And the whole goal behind the business was to build the most accurate gas gun I possibly could, not just for competition, long-range shooting, but hunters, duty weapons, anything. If it's not accurate, I won't sell it. I test every gun that I build, and if it's not shooting to the level that I want it to, it doesn't go out the door. So that's kind of the basis of the company. Been doing it took a lot of R&D, a lot of years and time on the range to figure out exactly how to get them to where there can be consistently sub half MOA guns like my competition guns are.
Yeah. And that's a big thing, especially being in the quantified members group, is seeing everybody talk about sub MOA and half MOA, and it's interesting to see, I went and after looking at everybody's posts, I actually went and bought the Ballistics X app just because I was like, yeah, it seems like everybody's using this. It's probably a good tool to have in my toolbox.
Yeah, those are handy, especially, if you don't carry a set of calipers with you.
Yeah. I
have both. Sometimes I use the app. Sometimes, I have a set of calipers. Because there's times where I'm like, I'll shoot, I'll shoot a group and I'll do the, ballistic X. I'm like, man, I don't trust this.
Yeah.
And I go down and measure it, and sure enough, it's as tight as I thought it was. It was like, man, that's wild. It's just so I use both of them, and the Ballistic X app is a very good app to have for your phone, and once you learn to use it, it's very, very accurate. I mean, I'm within human error standard, of measurement with calipers or the app of each other. So they're definitely a good app to have if you're a shooter.
So explain to our listeners what all kind of goes into building a precision gas gun.
So first and foremost, you have to understand that an AR platform rifle is a system. Everything in there matters. But first and foremost, the barrel. The barrel is the heart of the accuracy of any gun. I mean, if you start with a crap barrel, you're going to get crappy output and crappy accuracy. So starting with the best barrel that you can, I use T-Box barrels. They're a small company out of North Carolina. I've been using their barrels for about 3.5 years now, I guess it is. And they've all shot better than I can. I average like a 0.3, 0.4 MOA as a shooter, and they're all, I mean, I've gotten some 0.1s, but I'm not a 0.1 shooter. But their barrels have been hands down the best AR barrels that I've been able to find in the market, barrel to barrel. Like, I can build a gun out, and I know exactly what it's going to shoot before I ever hit the range, just because of their consistency. And I think I'm 400 or so barrels I've bought from them over the last 3.5 years. And wow, guns that I've built, guns that I've just sold the barrel to the customer, and they've all been hammers, especially for the gas gun. I mean, the last 2 QP, quantified performance matches, one of my shooters, good buddy of mine, he's won both matches with his 6x47 marksman that I built him. And then, once you have that barrel lined up, now you got to start looking at the other things that go on inside that system. You've got to use the right parts to support the accuracy of that barrel. So handguard setup, upper setup, your normal clamp on upper or handguards that just clamp right to your barrel nut, those can hinder you if you don't shoot them correctly. The uppers that are like the arrow enhanced, the Seekins has one where the handguard actually mounts to the upper a portion that's forged or built or part of the upper, to where that's not actually touching your barrel. Those help a lot, because when you start putting pressure on that handguard on a normal system, well, that now puts input into your barrel nut, which causes input into your barrel. Well, now you can have shots in testing. I think I saw up to about 3 MOA of shift, and was loading up bipods with like one leg, and you'd see that round just cook off one way or the other.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a big one. Trigger, a lightweight trigger is what everybody goes after, and I'm 100% with them. But you've got to also look at the mechanics of the triggers. I personally use either a Hyperfire, like Eclipse is my go-to single stage trigger, or a guys like National Match, guys like SSAE trigger. They have excellent hammer strength, which in ARs is very important, because you see all kinds of different primers. You may have a really hard cut primer from like mil-spec ammo. So when you get into those types of things, you want that extra hammer strength to make sure that primer is going to go off every time. You start getting into some of the drop-in style or cassette style triggers, sometimes those lack hammer strength. So you can get some light primer strikes on them. Also, you got to look at lockup time. From the time that you break that trigger to the time it impacts that firing pin, what is that time? You want the fastest that you can possibly get. And that's why I like the Hyperfires. I'm a single stage guy. I like single stage triggers for precision shooting. Some people prefer 2 stages. So it's kind of a personal preference on that, but mechanically, Hyperfire is the best single stage I've been able to find, and then Geisley's the best 2 stage on the market.
You know who's going to get on my case when he hears this? Is John, because John's been trying to tell me to get a Hyperfire, because I've been looking at a Geisley SSAE.
If you're a 2 stage guy, man, go the SSAE or the National Match. Hands down, best ones on the market. If you're a single stage person, no one beats those, like the Hyperfire, Hyper Touch. I think it's what they're calling the series now. Like, I use the Eclipse a lot, the Reflexes, and the Competition are the 3 that I go with in the Hyper Touch series, and they're great. They do have a new drop-in coming out that has mil-spec hammer strength. Don't know the lockup time on it yet. I was waiting for Hyperfire to release that info to me. but I played with it at SHOT Show, and it's a 2-pound trigger, and it's super nice. I was really impressed with their trigger, with that new drop-in that they have coming. So that may be a big changer in the drop-in games.
We were actually talking about it today because I just actually just got my Sons of Liberty Gunworks upper in this afternoon while I was at work. My wife's like, "Oh, hey, your new upper's here." I was like, "Oh, yay!" I was gonna basically take that and rebuild the whole lower and then shoot this match under the general purpose, but gonna do a couple other little things before I shoot that and actually get some more refined data on that upper. But I have a spike slower, and I was debating about building a gun out for her to, practice and plink with, because she's not an AR fan. She complains about they're heavy. I'm like, suck it up, get used to it.
Well, my comp gun's 19 pounds.
Yeah, I could hear her.
It's a pretty heavy AR-10.
I could hear her complaining the entire time.
Yeah.
But so I told her I would build her out her rifle, and then I was like, well, I guess I'll have to look for another lower and everything. And my coworker's like, oh, you need to definitely look at, Hyperfire and look at the Hyper Touch. And I was like, but I like Geisley. He's like, just shut up and do it. I was like, all right, I guess I'll have to look at him.
So this is going to sound like a stupid question, but what's the difference between a 2-stage and a single-stage trigger?
So the best way to explain it to where, like, people will, without diving down a long rabbit hole and getting scientific and stuff, it's a trigger that has built-in creep or take-up, and then you feel that you hit a wall, and then now it's ready to go. But it's kind of one of those, like, you have a stage, basically you prep the trigger. If you've ever played with a Glock, that's similar to a 2-stage trigger where you have that take up, you hit that wall, and then when you break that wall,
that's why I like 2-stage triggers.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I was like, I cannot find anything that's like, okay, that puts it in layman's terms.
Yeah. And that's kind of the best way, and the only reason I've had to come up with that, talking with customers and like, well, exactly what you said? What's a 2-stage trigger? What's the difference? And usually end up having to do it that way. But yeah, they're really nice, and it helps a lot of people be able to prep and kind of settle down before they break that shot. And I see it, like, I mean, I build them with 2 stages, and I have to test them. And I do well with a 2-stage. It takes me a little bit of dry fire. Like, I know if I'm going to go test this gun, like, I'm going to have to dry fire for about 5 minutes or so, just getting used to that, having that second stage right there. But other than that, I mean, you can sit there and hang out on that wall all day long, and then when you're ready to break the shot, send it. So it's really easy. But I'm a single stage person myself. I'm just never. I like that for professional work.
I mean, that could explain why I'm such a fan of the Geisleys, because I shoot a lot of Glock.
Yep.
So that could very well explain why I'm such a fan of the Geisleys.
Yeah, I mean, I like my Springfields, got that, but I like my rifle has just got a mil-spec trigger and stuff in it. So, but on the rifle, I don't know if I'd like that or not.
See, I've shot a lot of single, like, I think a couple of my dad's hunting rifles that I've shot growing up are single stage.
Yeah.
And it's different if you're not used to it, but
yeah, most bolt guns, that you go buy off the shelf are going to be single stage triggers. I mean, I can't think of off the top of my head that anybody that has ever put a 2-stage trigger into I'm talking like a large company, like a Remington or Ruger or something like that.
Remington did it. I think Remington did it with their 700 series. Or I may be wrong. At least I thought there was some out there with a 2-stage in it.
There may be. I mean, like I said, I'm not 100% sure. The Savage Acu trigger is very similar to a 2-stage. And
I've heard that. I
Um,
forget who was telling me. I think when we went to that expo, somebody was telling me that down there.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Don't go down for let's see. Your basic. So when you're building these, and basically this would go for any AR. What are the basic tools that you need to have? And because I was just happening to listen to another podcast and I heard them talking about this, and like, how much would you say it would cost in tools to have for like your just basic guy doing them out of the house?
So if you're starting with nothing, and we'll say you have a workbench, no vise.
Yeah.
You're going to need a vise. You can probably run to Harbor Freight and pick up a decent vise for $60-$70.
Yeah, I think that's what they normally run.
Yeah, at least one armor's wrench. I run 2 different armor's wrenches. I run run the Magpul, and then I have another one that I started off with. They both kind of have their perfect little, like, hey, this one does this really well, this one does this one really well type deal. So you're gonna.
I've heard the Tapco ones are good, even though Tapco was terrible. They made a great AR wrench.
I don't see. I've never used them, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, now that they're going out, now that Tapco's went out of business, I heard that they're getting quite hard to find.
Might be. I've got a Wheeler and a Magpul. Like both of those really well.
That's, I believe, the one I showed you that I was going to order was a Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There will be a new one coming out here very soon that I know about. And kind of leave it at that. I don't know if I can release the company's name at this moment, but
don't worry about it.
It's going to be a really, really cool armor's wrench, and it's going to be very multifaceted. Let's say that way.
Nice. I like multifaceted things.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game changer on the armor side of the house. So I mean, armor's wrench. I mean, $30 to $80 for an armor's wrench, depending on which one you go with. You're gonna need some Allen keys. I use a $30 some odd set that I got off of Amazon. They're yellow handle, really strong, sturdy ones. You're going to need a torque wrench. You're going to need
punches out the wazoo.
Yeah, you're going to need roll pin punches, starter punches. You're going to need. Look, I'm looking at my bench right now. Actually,
I can see you looking. You're like, what else over there?
Yeah, you're going to need like a crow's foot or something for the barrel nuts. Probably and some little miscellaneous stuff that most people will have, like screwdrivers here, stuff like that.
I've heard like for so I follow School of the American Rifle, and he was just on a episode of Primary and Secondary, and somebody had asked that in their chat, what would a basic starter set for building ARs cost, and he's like $500. He's like, get all your tools. He says $500, and he says that is like. By the time
you factor in, you've got to have a mag block. Or a mag block definitely helps for doing the lowers. I run the Geisley reaction rod for the uppers.
That is one thing that I got to get this year is the bev block for the mag block and the reaction rod.
Yeah, the reaction rods. I've been using those. Man,
that must be one big ass fire, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
I live right down from the fire station here, and we've had.
That's the third one that I've heard.
That's at least the third truck that's went by.
Hopefully, a good thing they stop at your place.
Oh yeah. Well, we'd know by now.
Hope so.
Yeah. It'd be one of those like oblivious things. Somebody comes knocking. Hey, your barn's on fire. What?
Yeah. Your barn spontaneously combusted.
Don't say that. I've seen that happen.
So have I. That's what happens when you pack wet hay.
Yeah, that's actually.
You pack wet hay in a loft in the summertime. That takes
We
a
had
lot.
When I was a kid. I was in 6th grade, actually, and this is how we get off track. A barn fire occurred right across the street from the school, like across and down the street a little ways.
Yeah.
The sad thing and kind of ironic thing is the guy that owned the farm was the fire chief.
Oh, damn.
And what happened is it wasn't the wet. So they had packed a little bit of wet hay, but a bird flew into the light upstairs and shattered the light that was on.
Damn birds.
And when he built the barn, he built a little retention pond down by the side. And that is the only thing that helped them save all the cattle out of that barn, because when they were hosing the barn down, total loss of the barn and everything.
Yeah.
But all the water would run off right back into that retention pond, and they threw all their pumps in there and just kept cycling the water out. And that's the only thing that helped him get all the cattle out. Otherwise, he would have lost about 50 or 60 cattle too.
Whew. That makes a very expensive day right there.
He said that's when he redid everything. He says that's purposely why he put it there, and he never thought the day would come where he needed it, but it saved it.
That's good.
Anyways, back on topic, as long as the sirens stop going by.
One other tool that is very, 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 very helpful, it's made by Wheeler, that doesn't cost very much, is their front or their takedown pin tool.
Yes, I have one.
Springs and detents.
Yes, I have one.
Yeah, and then if you order hot triggers from Hyperfire, they send you a drift pin for installing trigger pins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can it's angled. I've got a ton of them sitting over here, but it comes to a point. You stick it in there, it lines up a hole, drive that through, and then it holds the trigger in. You put your trigger pin in right behind it. It's perfect.
It's another truck.
It's super, super simple little tool, but they make putting in triggers so easy.
Let me ask you, since we are on triggers a little bit, what is your thought on anti-walk pins?
If depending on what trigger, if you're running, a lot of your drop-in type triggers, you need to have them, or they're going to walk out. A lot of your 2-piece triggers, like your Geisleys, your ALGs, your Hyperfires, your regular mil specs, they have tension. A lot of them go into the.
Oh, that's a big one. Another truck going for Deerfield.
They have a little. A lot of those triggers have J springs in the hammers and stuff to keep the front pin in there. I don't use them on a lot of triggers. If I'm putting a drop in, yes, they do have the anti-walk pins in them. That's just a good piece of insurance to have. But 2-piece triggers, I've never really had the need for one.
I've heard a lot. I've either heard a lot of, yeah, they're good, or why the hell do you need them? Yeah,
and I mean, and you can't throw out, and you'll hear this a lot on, forums and Facebook groups and stuff like that. You'll have the guy that runs this one trigger, and hey, you don't need those things. They're dumb. They're just wasted money. But in reality, he's never had a trigger that needed them because maybe he runs mil specs or nothing but Geisleys or whatever. So, and the AR world is so vast anymore, and there's so many different components and different styles of components now. Blanket statements don't really work anymore. You gotta look at purpose of the gun. What parts are they using? There's always little tweaks and stuff that you have to do no matter what parts you're going to use. And trying to throw a blanket statement across the board on this is how it is, it doesn't really work anymore. There's way too many components in this game. There's the innovation that's changing every day. People are always working on new things, trying to design new things. Like But for the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been working on putting ARCA Swiss rail into AR-10 and AR-15 handguards. I've got the AR-10s. The AR-15s will be coming up here probably about 2 to 3 weeks. They're on pre-order sale right now.
Oh, wow.
So, that was something that kind of saw in the bolt gun world, that guys were running ARCA on their chassis and their stocks and stuff like that, but no one at the time when I started working on it was running ARCA for AR handguards. There's been Geisley came out with one, and then I can't think of the name of the other company that did the other one for the 15. I was the first one to do them for the AR-10s. So it's been a good seller. A lot of guys are live them, especially up in your all's area. A lot of predator hunters are scooping those things up fast right now.
So, we got a lot of feral hogs around here, surprisingly.
I'm finding out we got a lot of feral hogs. I just recently heard
coyotes and
some more, but our big thing, especially right now because it's getting towards the end of breeding season, is coyotes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I last year started my stepdad started it for my little boy, and it's a family endeavor now. We started raising sheep. Okay. And we had our first lamb this year, and we had twins, and the one died. And that night I could hear probably about 15 different coyotes.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, we ain't playing this game. I was like, I got to get this gun done so we can start getting rid of coyotes.
Yeah. That whole area up there is bad with those. We've got a bunch of them down here, but for some reason it seems like that whole Midwestern strip is just bad with yotes.
Even right here, you're out in the country here.
Yeah.
But even compared to where my other property is down further south in Ohio, we have zero problems down there. My dad has hundreds of chickens that are free range and not a single coyote problem.
Yeah, it's real. It's like this up north, and we just had a issue the next town down. Lady let her two, I think they were either American bulldogs or pit bulls, out into her backyard, and there was a coyote in the backyard in the fence, and she didn't realize it when she let the dogs out, and it tore both dogs up bad.
Man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you sure it was a coyote? Because now a lot of people are saying that we're getting those Cywolf or Coyotes or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, the hybrids.
They're like a coyote-wolf hybrid, which around here I wouldn't doubt it because we got a lot of people that raise wolves or have like the wolf hybrids and stuff. So it's like, I wouldn't doubt it, but because we shot one this year that my friend brought his bolt action 308 over, and we shot it, and it was about 300 yards when we shot it, and it was big. It wasn't no tiny little coyote, and I was like, that's an awfully big looking coyote.
Yeah.
So
we'll get down here. We'll get them mixed with some of the Mexican red wolf, which is a very, very rare animal.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of them left, but you'll get like a crossbreed between them, and sometimes you got to be careful. Like, man, is that a red wolf or a coyote? But yeah, they get pretty good size when they start crossing over.
Oh boy. So who's your go-to ammo supplier for precision?
So for
or do you like doing hand loads?
So my 6x47 Lapua, no one makes ammo for it, right? Well, I mean, I could get a couple companies to make ammo for it, so I hand load that. But when it comes to like 308s, 223, 6.5 Grendel, 6.5 Creedmoor, stuff like that, I use a lot of times I'll use a company out of Florida, Night Ops Ammo. He's been big in the Predator world, and he's coming over to the competition side. I've been playing with his 223 ammo for a bit, and that's been really, really solid 223 ammo. Defender Ammunition out of North Carolina is another company that I use some of their stuff for some 308. And
I've heard a lot about them.
Yeah, they're good guys. They're a good group of people down there. One of the guys, Aaron, from there, he knows all the T-box guys and all my North Carolina buddies, and so he goes down and shoots the quantified performance matches with us. So we've kind of started converting him from a bolt gun shooter to a gas gun guy.
That's
in fact, enough to where he built him a new gas gun between the last match and this one.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up on the farm with bolt guns. My dad had a 270, a Remington 270 that we'd used for shooting the predators and the animals getting into the crops. And now I'm kind of moving over because I have my bolt gun still. But
yeah.
See, my fascination with gas guns is basically same deal. Started with bolt guns, hunted. My fascination with gas guns came when I turned 18 and the Clinton administration's assault weapons ban sunsetted.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. This means I can go I'm going and buying an AK. So I went out and bought myself an AK at 18. And my dad looked at me. He's like, why the hell did you buy? Like, what do you need that for? I was like, why not?
I don't need to have a reason to need it.
And then,
exactly.
then I bought my first AR, and then everything's just kind of spiraled.
Yep.
Recklessly out of control.
It's a snowball rolling downhill really quick.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to have to build one for my 9-year-old.
She's
been bugging me.
I can't wait to see what he does with this 22, because my dad bought my 6-year-old a 1522, the Smith & Wesson 1522.
Yeah.
And
cool.
he's not a big fan of the bang yet, and we're working on it. But
suppressors fix that issue.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm going to buy – I said he's going to help Dad get his first can because that's what it's going on.
Exactly.
Little 22 can, we're going to be happy about it.
Oh, so buddy of mine used to run a suppressor company out here, and they were working. So I helped with a lot of R&D work and stuff like that. Go out there, and I'd take guns and, whatever I had. You're like, hey, you called me up. Hey, man, I want to try see if I can torture test this on a 7.5-inch 5.56. All right, cool. Let's do this. That type of deal. He was working on a 22 can and got it super, super quiet, and put on a bolt gun with their little, I think they call them quiet 22 rounds.
Yeah.
And you could literally hear the bullet. That's all you heard was the bullet flying through the air.
Oh,
it was so much fun. Like grown men just sitting there giggling like little schoolgirls at this little 22.
Oh, that'd be awesome. There was one I've just seen. Somebody just released a 22, and the guy was shooting steel with it, and you could hear the trigger reset, and then you'd hear it hit steel, and then
click, ting.
Click, ting, and he's like, "I'm going to shoot this and not hit steel," and all you could hear was just the click of the trigger. I was like,
"Yeah,
oh, that's insane."
Yeah, they're all, a suppressed 22 is so much.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. I know I'm going to have fun with it too. So I was like, yeah. we'll get you a can.
It turns grown men into little kids, and we start getting in trouble with it.
Yes. I could very well see that happening.
Yeah.
Speaking of cans, so I see from looking at videos and looking at the stuff from Quantified, and I see a mix. So I see a lot of precision guys shoot cans. I see about the same amount not shooting cans. What's the reasoning behind the guys that don't? Besides it can change a little bit of your ballistics.
That's the 40 feet per second or so max that you pick up from throwing a suppressor on a gun, especially an AR platform. That's accountable. You're going to account for that, but really it's recoil management. So a suppressor does not knock down the recoil impulse like a brake does. So when you put the brakes on there, that's going to give you a whole lot less recoil, and that allows you to be able to, hopefully you're spotting impacts, but really be able to spot misses, stuff like that. So I run brakes. I have a suppressor, and I use a suppressor for hunting and stuff like that. But all of my comp guns, all of my long range stuff, I run brakes on just straight up due to recoil management.
Okay. I just noticed, like, looking at a lot of the pictures from the match and stuff, I seen just as many guys not running cans as guys running cans, and I'm like, is it because they don't want to pay the $200 stamp, or is there an actual reason behind it?
And it's some guys, and you see the same thing in the bolt gun world. Some guys will run suppressors, bolt guns, and some guys don't. It really comes down to a personal preference. But for me, it's recoil reduction, and that's the main reason I run them. If a suppressor would give me the same amount of recoil reduction as a brake would, I'd probably run a suppressor.
Fair enough.
There's something to remember that we can eventually R&D.
Yeah.
A suppressor that works like a muzzle brake.
I know there's some companies that have been playing with it and trying to get that recoil, trying to do that.
Griffin Armament, I've heard, has been working on something like that.
Yeah. There's a good bit of companies that have been trying to get that recoil reduction down with a suppressor, so you get the benefit of both worlds. But until everybody, pretty much until everybody's running a can, like I'll shoot at least one match this year that'll be suppressor only can match. I'll throw my suppressor on there and go have fun. But until everybody's doing it, I still got to wear hearing protection, so I'm going to take the better performance than being quiet.
So other than shooting precision competitions, do you do any other type of competitive shooting, like 3-gun or?
I don't do 3-gun. One, because of time. 2, you kind of got to pick one or the other. Precision long range or 3-gun. I don't have the budget to do both. So I like the precision game. I've got a lot of buddies that shoot, 3-gun stuff like that.
I'm seeing that the precision game is actually a little more cheaper than 3-gun. A little bit.
Maybe. Our ammo is definitely more expensive, but yeah, I think that PRS is going to be a little bit cheaper, especially in startup. I mean, you don't have to buy 3 guns.
Yeah.
You don't have to feed 3 guns. You get into the shotgun stuff and all the shotgun caddies on 3-gun side, and it's like you got $500 in shotgun caddies.
Yeah.
So yeah, PRS may be a little bit cheaper. It depends on how deep you want to dive into it. Are you going to pick up binos and a tripod and all that jazz? I'd roll into a match and probably got $10,000 going to a match with me or so. Maybe 8 to 10 probably.
Damn. Gotta love this hobby.
You don't have to have, I've got tripod with binos or a spotter. I got my rangefinder. I've got all kinds of extra stuff.
Do you have one of the Kestrels?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, that Kestrel is one of those you have to have.
I've kind of finding that out. Like, a lot of guys are like, oh, you're going to shoot precision? I was like, well, gas gun, but yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, you need to get a Kestrel. And I was like,
yep.
I need to or I should. And they're like, oh, no, you're going to need to. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Just 50, you can find some 5,700 Elites for sale, used from time to time. But, yeah, get one. If I have my rifle, ammo, my Kestrel, and my Armageddon gear mini pint-size game changer, I can shoot a match. Well, I need a magazine too, but
yeah,
I can leave all the other stuff at home. I do that. Like today, I was telling y'all before we started, I was on the range doing one of my long range experiences. And after that was done, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go get some practice in, and I've got a match coming up next weekend in Oklahoma, and I walked around with ammo, my game changer, and my Kestrel, and would just shoot. And I can run off of it. I don't have to have all the other stuff. The other stuff just makes things nice. Having a good set of binos or a spotter where you can kind of hang out waiting to shoot getting win calls, identifying targets, watching where the other shooters are hitting or missing. Are they overcalling, undercalling wins, stuff like that. So that's where the spotters and binos come in handy. But 9 times out of 10, you can probably borrow somebody's at the match. Like, hey, man, you mind if I look through them? And I get it asked every match. Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Most people aren't going to care if you look through their spotter or their binos for a little bit type deal.
So you mentioned another company that, one, I would like to eventually get on an interview, but two, I want to get their products. How do you like the Game Changer from Armageddon Gear?
Love it.
That's everybody
Absolutely.
I've talked to that has one is like, I absolutely love it.
If for some odd reason I lost that thing in the middle of a match, I may just go home. Yeah. So
good to know.
When Cliff, or I'm going to borrow somebody else. Like, hey man, can you hook a brother up? I'm hurting here. So when Cliff Reeser designed that, and I don't know the whole backstory. I know that he was the designer. I don't know if he's the one that named it or if Tom Fuller down at Armageddon Gear had some input on naming it or whatever. They nailed it. They nailed the name to the T. It literally is a game changer because it changed how we shot positions and made it so much more stable. What was it, Sunday after the QP match? We got the shoot around day, and I was hanging out, playing around with a little gun that I've been demo or testing and doing a little R&D on that'll be coming out here soon. But I was just shooting, and I didn't have a game changer. Everybody was kind of borrowing the ones we had that was playing around, and I was just wobbly. I mean, I was getting impacts, but it was harder. Grabbed up a game changer when it came free and threw it up there, and wobble completely gone. So it was really, really nice. The pint size that he did with the heavy fill is where it's at.
Well, that's good to know because I think that's the one I was looking at was the pint size.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pint size with the heavy fill is the most stable one.
I think that's the one I was telling you about.
Yeah.
Man, we're getting kind of down.
So what's a good precision caliber in your opinion? What's the go-to precision caliber to go with?
So if you're getting into the game or you're new to it, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a great round. You're going to get good, decent barrel life out of it. You're going to have a 1,500 yard gun with the 6.5 Creed. And yes, it can go further. But when I start saying, hey, this gun's good to this is where I say, get out there. If you get a pretty good solid wind call, you're going to still hit above 50% hit probability. When you start getting past that 1,400 yard mark with the Creedmoor, your hit probability is probably going to drop off some, especially if your wind calls are not on point. So, but Creedmoor's got, it's got tons of ammo out there. You can, factory ammo from all the major ammo manufacturers. It's super easy to load for. So that's a really good one. Now, if you're, hey, I'm pretty good at this long range thing. I'm ready for competitions. Any of the 6 mils, 6 Creedmoor, 6x47 Lapua. Those two are, they have less recoil than the 6.5. They're flatter shooting than the 6.5. They fight the wind early on where most of your matches and stages are going to be at really, really well. And that's, the recoil management or the recoil side of it and the flatness with the wind fighting abilities is why I shoot the 6 mils. Yes, I'm going to burn a barrel out in about 1,200 rounds. I look at barrels like tires. They're meant to wear out. They're interchangeable. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'm pulling my barrel out, my 6x47. My new barrel will be in Monday. So I don't worry about barrel life on my stuff. I'm just going to shoot it till it goes away, and then I'm going to put a new one in there. Some people worry about it. If you worry about it, like, that's why I have 308s. That's why I have 223 trainers. That's why I have 6.5 Grendel trainers, stuff like that, to where when I go out and practice, I'm not taking my match gun. Like, before a match, I may put 50 to 80 rounds down that gun before a match, and that's it in practice. Everything else will be done with either a 223, a 308, or a 6.5 Grendel.
Nice.
That are pretty much identical to what my main match gun is.
So now you mentioned with the 6.5 Creed, because I'm starting to research that round a little bit. A lot of companies I see are now coming out with gas guns that are chambered in 6.5 Creed. I'm assuming you guys make them as well.
Oh yeah. We've been making 6.5 Creedmoors for 3.5 years, 2 years. So when we started the Creedmoor,
has that become more popular than the 308?
Yes, I sell a whole lot more 6.5 Creeds than I do 308s.
Okay. One of the other things that I was going to ask you is, do you ever see gas gun precision getting to the point of, I guess, not so much trying to figure out how I want to word this. So we have like the PRS series, but you were in the Marines. So, we have they have the military's like ultimate sniper competition. Do you ever see that becoming like the gas gun series and the ultimate sniper competition becoming like a kind of a cross, like civilians versus military type thing? Like,
I don't know. You like the quantified performance matches. There is a lot of military that's down there to shoot those matches.
Okay.
Now they're not on orders. They're not.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. The AMU guys from the Army Marksmanship Unit, I believe they are there under official capacity shooting. That's their job.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of guys from Fort Benning is right there, about maybe an hour away from Blakely, at Arena Training Facility. So you get a lot of those guys. You've got a group down there at was it Eglin Air Force Base down in like Fort Walton area.
Yeah.
Get some of those guys to come up. There's a guy from I believe he's Army. Yeah, he's Army from New York State that drives down for every one of those matches.
Oh, damn.
You get some guys, you get some SF guys from Bragg that come down. So, there's a lot. You see a lot of military in the gas gun game, matches, because it fits what a lot of them are doing.
Mm-hmm. That's what I just wondered, like, if it ever would get to that point where we could have, like, how they have the ultimate sniper competition, but have it, as a civilian style thing or a military/civilian style thing. Because, again, it's kind of similar to, like, QP's stuff, because you're shooting from different positions, from different distances.
Yeah. I'm sure if someone organized it, we would shoot it. That's one thing. You see if you do, if you put something together and it looks like it's going to be a good time and you market it well and get it out there, people are going to show up to shoot it.
Yeah. Ash has done amazing with QP.
Yeah.
Marketing it.
Yeah, Ash and Jack have been doing really good jobs.
I keep forgetting about Jack. And if Jack listens,
don't worry about Jack. Everybody always forgets about Jack.
I always forget about Jack.
I hope Jack listens to this.
He probably will.
Good. I hope he does, because no one remembers Jack, and I'm sure I'll probably get a message about what the hell happened. Jack's a good dude. I met Jack and Ash. Be 2 years this September. I was one of the match directors for a PRS gas gun when the PRS gas gun series was still around. Mm-hmm. Me and a buddy we ran a match out here, and Jack and Ash came out from nights and got to meet them there. And then shooting the QP matches and stuff like that. I've gotten to know them, sponsor them and shooting them and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun. You can always tell that Ash made it higher up in the military because when he talks, he's more refined and more politically correct. And then you got Jack. That how he made it to Staff Sergeant of the Marine Corps is beyond me, but it's always fun.
It's so funny because to hear Ash on podcasts and talk other times, it's like, what rank were you in the military? It's like you. And I always I was joking when we had talked to Ash before. I was like, this dude says the F word more than I do when he's on a rant, and he's over here laughing because he had to edit a podcast one time. I think 10 minutes?
No, it was literally 3 minutes of just that one word. I compiled them all into their own little audio file. It's just 3 minutes straight of him dropping the F-bomb.
This was heavily involved in that recording.
Yeah. If that's the case, do not put Jack on your podcast.
Oh no, that's fine. We never said this was a.
I didn't even
friend.
edit them out all, and every episode is marked explicit.
Yeah, because
it's
everybody
inevitable.
does.
Okay, I've been trying to watch my mouth. I mean, I know.
Oh no, you're good, man. You're good. I don't think we even said the F word yet, have we?
No, I have not.
No.
Oh well, fuck. Now I said it.
There's the one. Good job.
Now we got
Fuck that one up.
Yep, there we go. So we've got 4 questions left. These are our last normal 4 that we always ask. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
You ask him.
Tell us about some of your rifles that are on your website. Like I was looking into the Marksman.
Okay, so the Marksman that's my high-end precision AR-10. Most expensive rifle that I make. When I sat down to come up with the Marksman line, so that's the Marksman and Marksman Light. Marksman Light's the AR-15 version, Marksman's AR-10. Normally, every time I set out to make a gun, first I start with a purpose. What is this gun going to be designed to do? Then I usually start with a budget, all right? So if it's designed for X, well, what are people that are going to use it for X going to pay? And then that's kind of where that goes, like with the hunter line, Hunters don't, those are designed for guys that want to hunt, but want to play long range in the off season. You don't want to go out and shoot and have some fun on the range. The Marksman, I came up, I was all right, this is going to be a precision competition long range gas gun. Budget, don't care. It's going to come out to where it's going to come out, and this is going to be the best gun that I can possibly build. And it took 3.5 months at least of R&D and testing and talking to people. And, I started off with a T-box barrel. I got already been with those guys, and I knew what their quality was. So that was like the very first thing that went into the gun was the T-box. And then started just building off of that. Like, well, let's try this part. And then calling companies and asking them for technical data on this part, or like the Hyperfire triggers. Like that's how I found Hyperfire. I knew about them. I knew they were, they felt good. They seemed like good triggers. Well, I needed to know why. Like why are they good triggers? What's the technical data behind them? So I called them up, and here you go, man. They hooked me up with all their little twerks and tweaks and stuff like this. And
that's cool that they did that, because most companies wouldn't do that. They'd just be like, yeah, no.
Well, I mean, most trigger companies, you call them up, and if you talk to someone that knows, they will tell you what the lockup time is, what the hammer strength is, and the stuff that matters when it comes to performance. So, like, lockup time matters. The faster I can get that hammer to send that round downrange, the less I move off a target. So, that's where that comes into play. So things like that, like playing with bolt carrier groups. I tested, me and a buddy of mine, I kind of got lucky on that one because he'd already ran a little bit of a test on what is the best bolt carrier group for accuracy. And so he tested a bunch of different bolt carriers, and there's a blog on my website on the bolt carriers, and all the technical data and everything that he found. JPs were the best bolt carriers on the market, with some of the way they re-engineered some things, but their JP low mass gave me the best accuracy, best ESs and SDs. And so like that's how that went. And it's a low mass carrier, so it's cut down on recoiling mass. So that means drops my recoil down.
Yeah.
Then played with buffer and spring sets. Tried you name it. I played with it to see if it mattered. What I found out was, once again, JP, their silent capture spring. It stays in contact with the butt end of that BCG, so it drives it into lockup, and it gives you a more consistent lockup shot to shot. That helped with accuracy. It kind of played the game of, all right, well, it worked on this gun. Let's go try it with some other people, and just kind of played it on the range. Like, hey, man, you mind being a test dummy for me real fast? And, had an armor's wrench and a JP silent capture spring, walked around with guys with AR-15s, and, hey, man, shoot this real fast. And they'd shoot a group. They'd 3 to 5 shot group. All right, cool. Let me throw this in there. And they'd shoot a 3 to 5 shot group. Everybody's groups got better. So once again,
interesting.
Yeah. And it's just little bitty things like that. And just kind of making sure that there was no possible way that I could take away any accuracy from the barrel. I know the barrels are solid. I know what the barrels can do. I don't want to take any accuracy away from the barrel. I just want to make sure that it's everything that I can do to make it as accurate as possible. And then that's where, coming in with the handguard that we talked about earlier, the upper setups, learning that thing, why does this do this? And, when I started the business, I played with my own build process. Does things matter in how you build these guns? And what I found out was, yes, they do. And that's how I came up with my build process, being able to repeatedly build the gun to where it's performing at its top level. And that was spent about a month with one gun, just tinkering. Does this matter? Does this matter? Well, what about this? What about that? I think I spent a week and a half playing with just torque.
Wow.
Trying to figure out where that sweet spot was of, where's that torque actually start to hurt accuracy, stuff like that. And I did find a number that was in there, and that's what I use. So there's a lot of little things like that. And then, all the way down to grips, grip. Yes, grip can affect accuracy due to hand placement, but a lot of what I wanted out of a grip was, of course, hand placement, but feel, the gun's going to be ran in matches. If you get sweaty, you get dirty, you get wet, whatever, I want that grip to still have dexterity. I don't want to lose, plastic grips, you get sweaty and wet and stuff like that. They get slippery. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want that. I wanted something that filled out my hand, because I don't wrap my thumb when I shoot precision. My thumb's on the right-hand side of the grip. It sits on my ambidextrous safety. So, and then you go into the little phase 5 battery assist levers that drop the bolt. Those are on there because when you get down, start a stage, mag bolt or mag in, bolt back, weapon on safe. You can't drop the bolt until you're on target. You get on target, well, that left hand's there for stability, whether it's up front driving the gun on the handguard, and if you're shooting prone, you're on a rear bag. I don't want to have to take my left hand off to drop my bolt. I can just reach up there and click it with my index and my trigger finger, and it drops it. Some people don't like those because they get ADs off of them. I've never had one, so it comes down to personal preference. But it was little things like that. How can I make this gun the most precise gas gun that I can possibly do? And how can I make it the most user-friendly? And thinking of those little things to aid in shooting and making people better.
See, I have one of those phase 5s on my lower right now, which actually I'm considering taking it off, but I may keep it on. I don't know yet.
I like them. My personal guns, I run them on those, and I've been real happy with them. Like I said, I've never had an AD from it. I know I see people talk about, I AD'd with it. It's kind of come off there. Is it really the bad lever, the lever's fault that you AD'd, or was it your brain and trigger finger not working well together that day?
Yeah.
What
when it comes to barrels, what twist rate? We'll say for mainly like the 5.56, what twist rate do you recommend?
It kind of comes back to a purpose. So I'm a very purpose-driven gun guy, and gun company. Like, if you're wanting to shoot varmints and you're gonna run little like 55, 50 grainers, 1-8 does everything you need to do. If you're gonna shoot, 77s, 80s, stuff like that, 1-8 will do, and it does well. 1-7 is going to give you a little bit better stability and accuracy downrange. So it, I got just built 2 25x47 marksmans for guys that, and you got to start playing around with that stability factor and ballistics and diving into that type of science to really nail down, all right, this is the bullets you're wanting to shoot. And if you're one of those guys like, hey, I want to be able to run 55s to 77s, a 1-8 is perfect. It'll do everything you need it to do. But if you start getting really specific and stuff like that, then that's where you got to start looking at, running the stability factors and making sure that, hey, this is going to be what's going to give you the best stability factor, and which in turns gives you the most BC, and you don't have BC bleed off downrange.
Mm-hmm. See, that's like my that new upper I got from Sons is, I believe it's a 1-7 twist.
Yep. Yeah, a lot. 1-7 is a really good twist. I mean, if you try to shoot some of the super, super lights, you may not. It may not like it too well, but you should be fine.
It's
like my 308. I run a 1-8 twist.
I think that was my first AR that I bought was a 1-8. Actually, my first AR was a Stag. Actually,
yeah. Well, my 308's a 1-8, and that's very uncommon. But I can spin that 308 bullet and give it a ton of stability, and it's predictable. I run out of scope at about 1,500 yards. Buddy of mine, and who's also my shooting instructor, and is the instructor for all my classes that I do. He took his 22-inch Marksman 308 with a 1-8 twist to 2,240 yards.
Jesus.
He had a prism on there to give him the extra elevation, but he had anything. He said he sent 20 rounds at it had 2 impacts on a half MOA target, and so it's basically about 12. It's a 12-inch target at 2,240, and he said all of his misses were just off right or left edge due to wind. Not nailing that wind call or that wind changing just a mile per hour.
Wow.
But he said it was still 100% predictable. And when you run the stability factor on there, it's a high stability factor with that 8 twist. So,
yeah, mine's an M4 profile 1-7, and I like it, but
yeah. Was it 223?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is the 308. That's our 8 twist. But 1-7 on the 223 is a great twist. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that one. 1-7, 1-8, once again, kind of gets back to what are you using it for?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a varmint hunter and you want to shoot the little flat, little bullets as fast and flat as you can, 1-8 do just fine. If you're wanting to shoot more duty type ammo, getting the 60s and 70s and 80s, go 1-7. It's going to be going to give you a little bit better stability.
Yeah, I usually run about 62s.
Yeah, 62s are, and you can run those in 8 twists perfectly fine. You won't see anything really, any BC degradation with a 62 grain and an 8 twist at all.
Well, we've got our typical last 4 questions. I always laugh when I get to these last 4 questions because we ask everybody these last 4. So, Question number 1: Did Epstein kill himself?
No.
Okay. That's 6 for 6 now.
Yeah.
And then the last 3.
He got suicided.
Yes. Speaking of which, did you see the pictures of the float from Mardi Gras?
Yes, that was epic.
That was just awesome. I initially, when my wife sent me the picture, I was like, why is Hillary Clinton strangling Bill? And then I had to really look at it. I was like, oh, wait, that's Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And then the last 3 questions that I always ask, what's your favorite gun, favorite caliber, and favorite optic? And that's normally the look we get.
Yeah, because everybody's going to stop and think real hard. Well.
So my favorite gun that I own right now, whew. So I love my 6x47 Marksman. Like it's so smooth. No, the only gun that I have that recoils less than the 6x47 is my 223 Marksman, which I think is like right above my head, like right over here somewhere. That 223 is a ton of fun as well, though. I don't know. I have a kind of a sweet, kind of soft spot for little 18, 20-inch 223 SPR, DMR type rifles. They're just fun. A little lightweight gun, running around, just shoot things type thing, and I think that I like the 223s because when I got into this shooting comps, at a lot of the club matches I'd go to, you would hear what is this dude doing with a little AR? Get out of here with your stuff. I'm shooting against guys that have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 bolt guns. Custom bolt guns, high end glass, all this stuff. I'm just over here running a little 18-inch 223, shooting some 77s, just having some fun. And then you started seeing those smiles and chuckles turn into, oh crap. That was he just beat me on that stage too. So I've heard a lot of feelings with a little 223 gas gun. So I love that. That's a lot of fun. When you see grown men start throwing $6,000 rifles into the bed of their truck because they just got skull drugged by a 223 gas gun, it's hilarious. I can't do that anymore because they just know. I got to find a new area to go shoot at, I guess.
They see you roll up and they're like, no, not today.
One guy that I've shot with I've shot with him for probably 30 years or so now, and he's been mad at me over the little 223 before numerous times, and his joke to me always is when I show up, hey, what gun you shooting today? If the 223, I kind of get that screw you, F you comment. If it's something else, you're like, all right, cool. As long as it's not the 223, I'm good. I just don't like getting beat by that gun. So those are the two that I grab. I like my 308 a lot. It's a fun little gun. It's my trainer. That's what I was shooting today. It sucks on wind. It's got a lot of, it's got a good bit of recoil to it. And it's a smooth shooting gun for a 308 gasser, but it still has more recoil and stuff like that. But I use it for training purposes, and it's a lot of fun to shoot. But yeah, the 223 or the 6x47 are probably my two favorites. Caliber wise, man, I like 6.5 Grendel a lot. That's a hard one. It's either gonna be 6x47, 223, or the Grendel. I'm about to redo my Grendel and change it up some. Optics, Vortex. I'm a Vortex guy. I shoot nothing but razors. I have a PST Gen 2, but all of my main scopes are all razors. The Razor Gen 2s. I like the Trimmer 3 reticle. I love them now that they do come with the Trimmer 3. That's a lot. I'm a holdover guy. So shooting gas gun matches, I like to hold because of speed. Mm. So, but the quality. I have yet to have a single razor go down. Yes, I've broken PST Gen 2s. Those are my demo / test scopes. So they get bounced around. I may go to the range and test 10 guns in a day. And they get moved around, and I may not always do the best job of poking them out to the gun. So, not saying it's the scope's fault; it's more the operator's fault that those have broken on me. But I mean, they'll see 7,000 to 10,000 rounds in a year.
Yeah,
that little scope's really not designed for that amount of abuse. But Vortex is always taken care of. No, no questions asked there. Fix it or replace it. The razors, I'm running 3 years now. I think three and a half years maybe now that I've been running my first razor. I wouldn't even begin to guess at how many rounds are across that scope's been through and how many matches and stuff like that. It's still running great. So their customer service, super, super nice people. No matter who you talk to up there, they're very happy to help you, get you taken care of. So that's the big one with me is the customer service side. And they got quality products. I mean, for the money, they're hard to beat. They kind of cover that basis from those cheaper end scopes to the high end scopes. And, whether it's a red dot or, a hunting scope or, LVPO, whatever. I mean, they've got you covered. And, like, my binos are Vortex, my spotters are Vortex. And when we do our long range classes, Vortex, takes care of us. We'll call them up like, hey, we'd like to, can we get some demo spotters for the class? And sure. They kick us out some demos and we run them for the class and we send them back. I mean, we've done that. We did that all last year and they were always happy to send us demo stuff. And, we always made sure to give them, some love and a shout out on social media. Hey, we really appreciate that. Our students going out and, hey, if please call Vortex, send them a message, do something. Put them on, give them some advertisement on social media because they know that, they sent us all this to play with for nothing, So that's really cool. And their warranty, got a buddy of mine burnt his truck down. Scope was in it. Gun and scope was in it. Vortex sent him a brand new scope.
Wow.
So, when you have a warranty like that,
yeah,
there's a lot of abuse and still keep running. Especially those razors, they're built like little tanks.
Yeah.
I mean, they may weigh as much as a tank, but okay. Yeah. That's why, I'm all right with that. I want the 19-pound match gun. Yeah. That's out of recall.
Well, I think that's pretty much about it. Where can our listeners find you at?
So you can find me on my website, www.sergeantofarms.com. Sergeant is abbreviated SGT. You can find me on Facebook, Sgt of Arms, Instagram, Sgt of Arms. As of right now, that's the only social media platforms that I'm on. Those are enough for me to, for now, I have a hard enough time keeping both of those running to add any more Twitter or Snapchat or what's the new one, TikTok or something like that. YouTube channel is in process, working on some videos right now. I have some videos up, but there's not much. I've got a lot that I'm going to be editing up here in the next week or two, hopefully. I've got some business. I've got 30 guns to build in the next 2 weeks. So,
oh geez,
I've got 2 gun shows in the same weekend that I'm be at. So that's going to be interesting. Be down New Braunfels, Texas, and then the one here in Fort Worth, Texas. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. But yeah, it'll be a good time. But yeah, so YouTube channel will be getting updated, and you can always, like I said, follow me on Facebook or Instagram. You can sign up for my email list on my website, and I try to send out. I won't spam you with emails every day. You may get 2 a month out of me at most, and it's more of, hey, this is events coming up. This is what I've got coming up, announcements, new products, stuff like that. I try not, or if I'm going to be running a sale coming up, I'll announce that. Other than that, I'm not going to sit there and spam you every day with different emails and different all this stuff like some companies do, because I know that annoys the hell out of me. I don't want to annoy my customers. So
I was going to say, I get a bunch of emails from certain companies that I won't name on here, like
yeah.
2 or 3 times a day.
I get 5 a day, dude, from the one.
Oh, Jesus.
I hopefully I'm not signing up on them. A lot of those I've clicked and put them into my spam folder anymore. That way I don't get them.
Yep. So, with that, I think we've got everything wrapped up. If you want to hang out for a couple minutes, we'll close that. We'll end our interview and finish up, and then hang out, and we'll got a couple. Yeah, chill for a couple seconds. I probably got a couple questions, but other than that, I think that went well. I think our listeners will find out some interesting information.
Yep.
The thing, if anybody heard anything on here that they want some, maybe like, let's go down a rabbit hole. Like they want some deeper information, reach out to me, email me, message me on my business Facebook page. You can call me, whatever. You can message me on the website. I'd be more than happy to dive down into some, a rabbit hole or 3 with somebody. I mean, that's what I do a lot of times, is getting some ballistic rabbit holes, or just rabbit holes in general about guns and why this versus that type deal.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, with that, folks, wrap up another guest interview this week. Yep. And wait a minute. Who do we have on Monday?
I have heard nothing back. So.
You haven't heard anything back?
Mm-mm.
I guess I'm going to have to call somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess we'll leave that one in suspension.
Yeah.
All right. Other than that, folks, I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
Keep the bearded tank.
Daddy Brigade Podcast out.